when last we were here on Rime of the Frostmaiden, you all had descended into the Ragged Glacier. You had taken a tome, the codicil of white, from the temple to Ariel, the Frostmaiden herself, where her worshippers worshipped at this tome. You completed several challenges, which changed your character in some ways to be able to access the tome, the test of the Frostmaiden, which you all managed to pass. You've taken the tome and read from it the poem, the Rime of the Frostmaiden, that allowed you to open the glacier. As you descended down into the caves below, you found multiple challenges: rimmerazes, vampires, the undead, and partial ruins of an ancient necropolis that had crashed down into the glacier thousands of years hence. You're traveling with Valian Harpel, a wizard, a member of the Arcane Brotherhood, who carries with her now a professorial orb that you found upon the island of Solstice, named Professor Scott, an expert that is entombed inside of a crystal ball that knows everything about Ythrib, or at least all there is to know about the Netherese city. You had learned, way back in your long history, you had encountered you had discovered a gnomish inventor by the name of Macradius, who had been reading Netherese writings and had invented a device that he called a summer star. It was able to generate and use the weather, control the weather, and able, at least temporarily, to wind back the Frostmaiden's rhyme after you were able to repair it. The text that he had been reading mentioned something called a mythologue, which you had learned was the source of power of these great cities. In fact, it was the device that the Netherese used to have the cities levitate in the sky. These were floating cities. Something thousands of years ago caused the fall of this ancient empire, and all of the people disappeared. The empire crashed. The cities fell from the skies, and this one slammed into the glacier, apparently buried under the ice for thousands of years, locking away with it the secrets of the ancient mytholars that caused the cities to fly, and perhaps a source of power that Macradius had discovered that could potentially reverse the rime of the Frostmaiden. You weakened her, but not destroyed her. An opportunity has arisen to be able to reverse the magical spell that she has cast upon this world, locking it in never-ending winter. And you've traveled deep beneath the ice to find the secret of this ancient power. Deeper and deeper into tunnels dug by rimmerazes, you slid, encountering ancient frozen dryads and partial ruins of the ancient city, until finally, after great peril and much harm, you found yourself standing before it. Bursting through the ancient glacier into an open grotto, the tunnel opened up into an area enclosed by gleaming ice. Consigned to this frozen sepulchre was a fantastic ancient city, sculpted by ancient magic, but still illuminated in a haunting way by green and purple lights that shed no warmth. The city slightly tilted, its spires leaning away from you, as though recoiling from your very presence. You stand upon an icy causeway of frost-covered ice that stretches towards the city like the dead frozen tongue of some hideous behemoth out of whose mouth you have just stepped. You stand before this ancient city. You had encountered some previous mages of the city that had become hideous creatures. Some of you had remembered the name of these sort of creatures to be Nothics. Creatures that had tried to use magic to form themselves into, I suppose, liches, to live forever, to find eternal life, but had failed and become essentially golems of the ancient city. They seek nothing but power, magic. You learned from them some facts. You learned that the city is ruled by an ancient, powerful wizard. The entire city was but a city of wizards, but an ancient, powerful wizard who still exists, apparently in the form of a floating skull, exists and haunts the ancient necropolis. You learned that the Tower of Ithorlus, which is the central spire of the city itself, is locked away by some magical spell that requires a powerful ritual in order to pass through it. From these Nothics, as you sort of had tapped into their writings, you read their crazy screeds. These are the things that you had learned. Bum, 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 bum. Am I forgetting something else? Yithrin's Mythalar won't function as long as the spindle, a powerful artifact 40,000 years old, remains in the city, and that artifact is located in the central spire, which prevents the Mythalar from functioning. So you know a little bit about what you have to do. A ritual to get into the spire, a spindle that exists in the spire that prevents the Mythalar from being able to function, and some ritual to get there. Ithorlus, the powerful Netherese archwizard watching over the city, lost his mind and most of his body, and all that remains a floating skull. The other potential inhabitants of this frozen necropolis you know not much about. You do, however, have Professor Scott, an expert on the Netherese. And I will take you there now. Feel free to query Professor Scott, and he can tell you what he knows about Yithrin and about the Empire of Netheril, what happened to the people, what happened to the place, what led to the fall. Anything you want to know, Professor Scott and Valian can answer. As you stand on this glassy, tongue-like protrusion heading towards the central city, Valian can barely hold her breath back with excitement as she exclaims at the power and the magic that must be held within, the ancient secrets and what could possibly be learned. The Arcane Brotherhood has so longed to be able to query the depths of the empire of wizards from the ancient past, and here, standing before a very city of the ancients. What do you do? You were about to say something, Cadillac.
Professor, this is an awesome sight. Seeing it here in front of us.
Indeed.
What do you know about the fall? Was it some form of treachery? What do you know about what befell this city?
Well, it would be in year minus 339 by the Dale reckoning, if you follow that calendar. Despite their great power, the Netherese faced a growing threat. Under the heart of their empire lived spell-casting aberrations called Faerine. Horrible aboleth-like creatures from the Underdark. Extinct today, long since gone, but worm-like bodies, with giant maws full of teeth, tentacles, but more than just horrors from the abyss. Powerful wizards they were, able to manipulate the weave, cast magic at its very will. They threatened the very existence of Netheril. However, the magics of the Netherese were incredible, beyond any magic that anyone has today. The leader of all of Netheril, a man by the name of Karsus, he attempted to neutralize the Faerine by casting a spell of unparalleled power. It would have given him the ability to replace Mistral, become the god of magic himself. In fact, overthrow all of magic and allow the leader of the Netherese themselves, to become nigh unto gods. However, the spell failed. Mistral countered Karsus at a key moment of casting the spell, a feat she could only accomplish by sacrificing her very self. Mistral died, the spell failed, and Karsus was slain immediately. The entire world was left without magic. The weave collapsed, the goddess of magic died, and all magic faded from the world as the great collapse, as you may have heard of it, happened. without the ability to cast spells or create magic. Magic used to keep the cities of Mithril aloft fell. The entire empire crashed to the ground. An empire built upon magic. Gone. The remaining flying cities crashed into the ground. The arcanists that remained, many of them driven mad, attempting to reclaim the power that they once had that was lost. Once magic came back into use, the Netherese people found they could no longer cast their powerful and mightiest spells, forced back into what today we would consider traditional wizardry. 400 years after Karsus cast his spell, the Empire was no more, crushed by its enemies and undone by its own hubris. The Netherese Empire had once risen to unparalleled heights, but fell into ruin. Mithrin was one of its great cities. When the fall of magic and the breaking of the weave happened, all magic failed, and it crashed here, buried for centuries beneath the ice. My studies of Yithrin itself said that the city was brought to the far north to study great magics. In fact, they were studying one of the most powerful magic empires of all generations, the giant empire of Astoria, and their powerful mages that existed thousands of years prior to the Netherese Empire. The giants and dragons battled each other in a never-ending war. Giant mages, cloud giant mages, maintained the most powerful magics ever. The Netherese brought their city far to the north, searching for relics of ancient Astoria. This is what I know. You may realize now that this is the very reason, the breaking of the weave, that magical spells are capped out at what you would consider a 9th level. Prior to Karsus and the falling of Mistral and the breaking of the weave, spells were more powerful.
So, to keep a city aloft, it seems that I've seen miraculous things that our artificer friend has done. That's a mix of mechanics and magic. These cities fell when the weave collapsed. I wonder if not surely we not many people have seen this city. We may be among very few people, particularly of our skill, that have been here. If I wonder if there would be a way to restore in some small fashion this city's ability to operate now that the weave has been restored, if it's a mix of mechanics and magic.
Indeed.
It's just a question of getting it running again.
Mechanics and magic are indeed. The spell that Karsius tried to cast would have been what you would consider a 12th level spell. And the power of the Mythalars that kept aloft the ancient Netherese cities would be 10th level spells. Impossible to lift a city today. That remains impossible. But great power of the devices here still exists, potentially with the ability to reverse what you face today. Could it be used to lift a city? No. But could it be re-engineered as your friend did? As you describe this, well, I suppose, friend, you did meet his ghost, you say. As you describe this Macradius had done in order to re-engineer such a device into the ability to reverse the weather, perhaps yes. Get it running again. What a feat that would be. Before you stretches out an ancient city. There are what looks like street lamps lit with what would be like continual flame spells that give off no heat. The various buildings around the city give off a strange and eerie glow. It feels uncomfortable here. Like the air is just sort of off and not rate. Um, so you've learned what basically you've learned what Professor Scott knows about Yithrin. There is more to know about Yithrin and about the people of Yithrin and what they did and how they lived that you could find out, but you've learned what he knows. There's a causeway ahead of you as you sort of step off, and you see spires surrounding the city, and you recognize them. They are, in fact, the exact same structure that you had previously explored, upside down, buried elsewhere in the ice. And you can see, scanning the city, places where a couple of them have broken off, sheared off in the fall years ago. And these sort of spires on the outer rim of the city that you can see here, previously you realized held laboratories and rooms of wizards and things like that, where you encountered the device to try to make a construct into a real boy was there, and that worked not so great because it turned him into a bubbling monster. But it existed in that upside down spire. And you see these strewn around the outsides of the city. Green and purple lights cast an otherworldly glow upon the frost draping the silent city. Clawing spires, broken domes, and steeples leaning at odd angles surround a huge citadel. At the foot of the causeway, a giant statue lies prone and motionless. Its surfaces are gleaming with rime.
Do we have, or does Professor Scott have any insight into like a map of the city? Has he ever seen like
No.
details about what's where?
No. No one has ever seen anything like this before.
Okay, that's sort of what I was thinking.
He sort of has told you what he knows about the fall and that sort of thing.
Can I, with my techno-mechanical magical background, get any from this sort of overarching view of much of the city? Can I get any insight into what these areas might have been? Like, are they districts or?
Yeah, seems to be like hold on.
Like separated by purpose, or like is there?
Yeah, you're gonna have to roll something for this.
Yeah.
What are you? Give me a little more about what you're trying to suss out exactly.
So what I'm trying to decide is, this city is powered by huge, massive devices or somethings to make it fly, and those may still work, or may still have power, or may still be able to repurpose to save the world. Do I see a place where those might be? Like, can I see a power core, or like a steam plant, or
okay, roll me Arcana.
An energy nexus.
Roll me Arcana.
24.
20. Ooh, pretty good roll. Okay. You would assume that the power would be maybe more centrally located in the city. Everything seems to be focused inwards towards the center.
So I think more that it might be the central spire rather than these colorful domes.
Yeah, the interesting thing about the outskirts of the city are that there are 8 of them, basically. Roll me insight, maybe?
Ooh, insight. What about investigation?
What are you investigating?
The +8 rather than the +1?
I mean, investigation is more like I'm looking at this thing and investigating.
No, that's fine. I'll roll in.
I'm trying to gather how much insight
he's technically looking at it too, so.
Oh, yeah, I'll take that +1.
here's what I'll give you with a crit roll. Everything in this, everything. There seem to be sort of like 8 general like areas, and there seem to be like that has some meaning to you as an arcanist. Because there are 8 schools of magic, and it sort of strikes you that that there's some interesting symmetry to like schools of magic and to like how the city is divided up. Like you get with a crit roll, you get like that insight that like all the schools of magic are surrounding like central power. Like,
okay,
think like wizard.
Do I the skull guy, the bad guy who's a skull, who's just a skull?
Yes.
Does my professorial orb friend know anything about him or what school of magic he was part of?
Well, skulls could be flame skulls, but this seems less likely, given that they say Horlus was a powerful wizard, the ruler of all of Yithrin. You see, the Netherese Empire was an empire of wizards. Everyone was a wizard. That's right. You think that in our world today you have fighters and the candlestick makers and butchers and people that cobble shoes and road makers and ditch diggers and farmers. But in Netheril, all people were wizards. And all people were taught magic, and magic is how they lived. Imagine how an empire collapsed when the thing that everyone did to sustain themselves was gone. I would assume, if Ithorlus still exists as a skull, he is all schools of magic. And there is only one creature that I know of that is ancient and wizard, and not but a skull remains. And that would be a demi-lich.
He's a demi-lich. Okay, so he's probably in the central tower. I guess what I was trying to suss out was, would there be one school of magic that he gravitated more toward? But since he's the supreme ruler of all, he's probably in the central tower. I'll share my observations with the group and let them know that there's at least some significance to the 8 areas of the city, and that
so I mean, like the areas of magic would be like transmutation, necromancy, enchantment, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes.
That sort of is what you're able to insight and glean from sort of like staring from the distant vantage point. You think to yourself, a great wheel of magic surrounding a central spire where the magic is sort of like all channeled into. But you also see other things. You see a concert hall, what looks like music, and you see what looks like maybe a church. And you see what looks like maybe a prison. And you see what looks like maybe a like the first thing that actually catches your eye before you is like an arena of some sort. Like,
oh yeah, I thought those were people, but it looks like they're flaming pitchforks.
Well, in fact, as you step off of the spire into the front of the city, the very first thing that you see before you is what looks like a statue on the ground, lying down on the ground. It's kind of weird looking though. It's laying face down, and I lost my page, so I gotta go back to that. Prone and motionless, covered with rime. And
prone and humanoid?
Humanoidish looking, and it has what looks like a giant sledgehammer. Are you examining said statue?
Yeah, but it does it have tentacly appendages? Like,
How are you investigating? Are you digging into it and looking
I'm
at it?
gonna look at it. I'm gonna
Okay,
like
as you
walk
look
up
at
to it and.
ooh, okay. As you look at it, it's kind of horrifying looking. Let me see if I can just show you a picture. That might be the best thing. This is what it looks like.
Oh my goodness.
And as you examine it, it is definitely stone. It is rock, but it is the most like lifelike looking rock you've seen in a while. As you walk around and you look, the wizard spires of like that wizard tower, of the spires on the outside, have what look like gargoyle structures on them, sort of watching you.
Oh. Okay, now I see. So these, like, it looks like there are these towers all around the city.
I'm talking about these on the outer rim. But yes, there are towers all around the city, yes.
And they have like runes on them or something.
Yes.
I did not notice that.
As you step off, the first thing, are you doing anything with this statue that you've encountered, this horrific looking
Oh no!
creature?
Once I see that it's a scary beast, I'm going to report back to the group with my findings, both the observations and the. This is a statue of a. I don't even know. Like, do I recognize this? It looks horrific, like a nether beast or something.
Roll history.
Ooh.
With a 26, you have no idea.
All right.
It looks like with a 26, it looks like something from the Underdark, is what it looks like to you.
Okay, but it gives more of an Underdark flavor than a Mind Flayer vibe.
Oh, it gives a horrific vibe, whatever it is.
Yeah. Okay, I can roll with horrific. I'm just sort of traumatized by the skulls we found earlier that had Mind Flayer holes in them, so I just want to be sure.
Yeah, not a Mind Flayery vibe. The first thing you come across is a large amphitheater that it sort of extends before you in the central area of the city that you step out of. The air around the amphitheater is charged with static. Cracked steps descend to a stadium floor where a tiny glittering object rests on a pedestal of black stone. There are 3 metal masts that rise from the arena like giant tridents, each of them emitting sort of a low humming sound. And the branches of each trident are about 25 feet off the ground and extend 50 feet into the air. The arena is about 120 feet long and about 50 feet wide. As you can sort of see from the outside of it. I don't have close-up views, so this is going to be a lot of theater of the mind.
Oh,
that's the first thing you see as you step off is this sort of giant amphitheater, 120 feet long, 50 feet wide. And in the center of it, like I said, is some sort of glittering object resting on a pedestal of black stone.
All right. I'm going to download my information to everybody else.
Yeah, everybody can see this as you sort of are all walking in, looking past this horrific thing, and have stepped into the city. So I'm assuming that everyone is together. And that's the first thing you see as you come across this arena. With, I'll describe it one more time for you, and you can see a little bit of it. 120 feet long, 50 feet wide, cracked steps descending to a stadium floor. There's a glittering object resting on a pedestal of black stone, and 3 metal masts rise from the arena like great tridents. There's sort of, the air is kind of staticky, and they emit a low hum. That's the first thing you guys see. Oh, I just realized. I don't have all the characters on the board. Ordella's not here. It doesn't really matter. Like, your character tokens don't really matter because this is going to be sort of mind theater. Combat will also be mind theater mostly. So what do you guys do?
I should check out that amphitheater thing.
Okay. Are you going down into it, or how are you checking it out?
Probably stand at the edge of it and just looking around, getting an overview of it at first.
Okay, roll me perception.
Uh, 17.
What you can see on the black pedestal looks like a trophy cup. It is absolutely beautiful. In fact, it is maybe, as you sort of are looking down into the arena, maybe one of the most beautiful objects you've ever seen. Mithril with blue spindle gemstones. And it emits a faint glow as if it has its own power or some sort of magic kind of radiating from it. But you can't really tell much else.
So how big is that? Is that like a massive thing, or?
No, would be like you know, Stanley Cup sized. I don't know.
Okay.
Or like racing cup sized.
So still a little too big to carry around.
No, I mean it's carryable.
Maybe. I'm put on my belt.
It's a carryable. It is a carryable sized thing.
Is it cursed?
I mean,
everything is.
I mean, you don't know. All you can see is an incredibly beautiful object that radiates an aura of its own internal magic. That is one of the most beautiful, like, chalices you've ever seen, sitting on a black pedestal in the center of this arena, with these three what look like pitchforks that are sticking up 50 feet in the air.
Are they on fire, or are they electrified, or like it's hard to tell?
No, they're not. They're not on fire or anything. There's kind of a hum, and you can feel a little bit of kind of like static electricity in the air.
Interesting.
But nothing's on fire or anything like that.
Okay, and I kind of want to like look at this thing that looks like it has the Enterprise on it. Right in the middle, big tower.
Hold on. Thing that looks like it has the Enterprise on it. Where
big tower right in the middle, just past the amphitheater.
That thing right there?
Yes.
All right. Yes. So are you guys going past the amphitheater and sort of ignoring that?
Well, I meant looking around.
Or are you just sort of looking?
Just looking.
All right, yeah. You see it's a tower. It's reaching upwards, like it looks like a talon. And from where you're at right now, you can tell that there's some sort of like writing on it or something in sort of a faint blue glow. But from the other side of the arena, near the edge of the city, you can't really read any of what's written on it. But it's kind of got a blue light shining from its tall window at the top of that tower, giving off sort of a faint blue glow. That's what you can see from a distance, unless you're going to go past the arena and over to the tower.
Yeah, I'll go over to the tower.
All right. Takes you about 10 minutes to walk. Is everybody going with her? Are you? Yes. I mean, it's a 120-foot arena, so it takes 5 minutes to walk around the edge of the arena.
I'll accompany.
With the glowing chalice in the bottom. And yeah, so this tower reaches upward like a talon. Its stonework is studded in chiseled runes, and a blue light shines from its highest window. That's what you see.
Can we try to read the runes, or?
You can try. Do you have like a comprehend languages or anything like that? Make me an Arcana check.
One.
You cannot.
No. It might as well be in crayon.
There is an entrance there to the tower. It doesn't have like a door or anything. It's just sort of like an open entryway that you can see with, it looks like maybe steps ascending upwards.
What do you guys want to do?
Yeah, I kind of want to grab the cup.
I know, and I'm not grabbing it because I know it has to be cursed something, but it is too pretty. Like those animals out in the wild, the brightly colored pretty ones, you know not to touch them.
I'll grab the cup. I don't
And
care.
I don't see any remains of people, so it's like, I don't want to get vaporized and stuff.
Is one of us compelled to grab the cup? What are
Oh,
our
both of
magnets?
you are. Both of you are. I'm sure Harkus
No.
thinks it's a pelt.
I just can't let it go once I grab it. Once I pick it up, it is mine
So I
forever.
thought about it, but then I figured, you know what? That'll be how I die, and I want to investigate some stuff before I die tonight.
I'll go grab the cup. I like shiny things.
Okay. As you step down into the arena, there is a low hum and buzz that surrounds you.
Oh, the music.
Yeah.
The music just went?
Music
Nothing.
changed.
We thought the music changed.
It did. There's a low hum and a buzz that surrounds you. You can feel electricity wafting off of things.
I hope you don't have a pacemaker.
Everybody is sort of following Harkus down there, I assume, as Harkus grabs the cup.
I guess we'll all die.
Harkus tries to grab the cup, and it absolutely cannot be removed.
Harkus
He
is a
pulls
giant.
Yeah, you've gotten bigger and bigger, and it absolutely cannot be removed, no matter how hard giant Harkus tries. And Harkus, your legs do hurt. They still hurt. How tall are you now?
I don't know. I'm very tall.
You're like at 9 feet tall now, I think.
Probably.
Bulletproof.
Harkus would like to take out.
As you do that, before you can, all of a sudden, a shimmering head, shoulders and torso of a woman, blinks into existence before all of you. And electrical currents course over her metal teeth, and her form stutters and flickers as she speaks in a strange language. And it's just... And you recognize this, and Professor Skunt says, "Ah, she is speaking Moros, the Netherese tongue. I assume none of you are experts in speaking Moros."
I mean, duh. Yeah.
Doesn't somebody have comprehend languages?
Sure, Cadillac does.
Not I.
Guitarra, do you have a comprehend language?
All right, well, that's going to go on my next character.
Okay, and what Professor Scott describes is he says, I'll translate for you. He says, so a new challenger enters the arena.
Oh,
You have 30 seconds to choose your teammates or a game of chain lightning. And as that happens, all of a sudden, on the opposite side of the arena appear 6 figures. They just sort of appear out of nowhere, and they look like this.
that does not look good.
Kind of these blue mage-like guys.
They look like they might be more adept at a game called Chain Lightning than us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, as they ready themselves, the pitchforks around the arena begin to crackle with electricity and lightning. as the 5 of you and are sort of all strung together onto a team. I need every player to please make me a dexterity check. You're going to be making this with disadvantage. In just a moment.
Okay.
Give me just 1 second
All
to
right, fair enough.
set this up. I got to get your enemies onto the board here. All right, yeah, go ahead and make me dexterity checks, please. Disadvantage dexterity checks.
Oh.
Since you guys haven't explored anything and don't know the rules of this game at all.
Cordella, your stuff is not coming through.
No, it's not my. I don't know what it is with my it said VTT thing, so I have to like turn off the extensions. See if I can get it working again.
Okay.
Oh, you're
Refresh.
beyond 20. You're beyond 20 thing.
Yeah, and I think it's only for this character because I think it worked for my other one. I turned it back on and refresh, so I'll see if it does it. But I got a 5 as my.
Okay, I'm gonna turn on so that you can see their rolls. Okay. All right. So the way this works is the person with the highest dexterity check. So they got a 19. They got a 6. They got a 17. 17. 17. There's 6 of them. 24. Does anybody beat a 24 with their disadvantaged dexterity check? I'm guessing no. A ball pops out of.
I think we're waiting on. I don't think Kenny rolled.
I didn't roll either.
Roll your
Kenny
dexterity
roll.
checks.
Kenny got a 4.
And that's at disadvantage?
Disadvantage, since you don't know the rules of this game that you're now playing.
I got a 5 as my lowest.
Okay. So yeah, so what happens is a ball pops out of the center of the arena, and one of the blue guys, just like before you guys are able to react or figure out what's going on, rushes over and grabs it. So now I need you all to make athletics checks. Everybody make me athletics checks.
Okay, so did it work? Yay!
Is that just regular or with disadvantage?
Disadvantage.
Ow.
You still don't know the rules. You haven't figured out the rules of what's going on. So make me disadvantaged athletics checks.
Okay.
Glad I asked.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. How many people or who got better than a 15, despite their disadvantage? Did anybody beat a 15?
Nobody.
No.
Okay. All right. So here's what happens. This guy is going to. Make basically an attack roll. This is a +6, so he'll roll that 19. That's gonna hit. Beats an AC of 15, and he takes the ball and hurls it up towards one of the spiked tines. And the ball, all of a sudden, as it bounces off of the spiked tines, becomes electrified. Like there's just electricity bouncing around the ball all over the place. And go ahead, everybody, and make another athletics check or dexterity check.
Oh, dexterity.
Oh, dexterity.
Or athletics or dexterity, whichever is your best. And tell me what your highest was.
5.
I think mine was a 14.
Mine was a 14.
Does anybody beat a 21?
No.
No. Okay. So after he tosses it up, what happens is the blue guy runs over, grabs the ball, and then slings it up into the electrified masts, and the ball sort of becomes like electrified itself. And he grabs the ball and then hurls it. And yeah, he's gonna make a. Sorry, I'm rereading the rules to make sure I understand this stupid game. Hold on. This team is on offense. If the team on offense gets more times, or make a ranged weapon attack against them. Okay, so he grabs the electrified ball, and they're going to make a ranged weapon attack against one of y'all, actually. So one of the blue guys grabs it, and he slings the ball towards Ordella.
Force.
That is an 8 to hit.
No. Praise the Lord.
Yeah, so that's a big old fat miss as it comes zinging towards you, but still electrified. As you all are starting to grasp the rules of this electric dodgeball game, everybody can make me athletics checks to try to go and grab the ball now.
And these are just normal checks.
Yeah, I'm not going to disadvantage you anymore because you've gone around now, so like...
Not that it would have helped me.
Does anybody beat a 20? Dexterity or athletics? No, nobody beats a 20. One of the blue guys manages to grab the ball again, and they start to yeah.
Can I do something real quick?
Yeah, sure. What are you gonna do
before he does that?
Yeah.
I'm gonna cast invisibility on myself and Harkus.
Okay. Okay. So you do that. You cast invisibility. You two are invisible. The blue guys are passing the ball amongst themselves, and they're sort of throwing the ball around the court, passing it back and forth, back and forth, back and forth as they're getting ready to sort of try to set up a shot at you. And
what? These are good rolls.
So 4 of them succeed. 4 of them beat a 15. If all of you beat a 15, you can intercept the ball. So it's number of successes, number of greater than 15s. So you can all roll athletics or dexterity checks to try to intercept the ball. What are you two invisible people? What are you two invisible people doing?
Damn it!
If you are going to try to intercept the ball while invisible, I'll give you advantage.
Okay.
But you haven't done better than them. You haven't outrolled their checks. Yeah, so they still have the ball. They managed to have the ball, and then one of them zings it towards Yatara. Does a 21 hit you, Yatara?
I mean, can they see me?
Oh, wait, you're invisible.
He's
No,
invisible.
they can't. They sure can't. So they're going to have to zing it towards maybe Ordella. Does a 21 hit Ordella?
Yes.
Okay, Ordella, you...
What do they have against me?
Nothing. The ball smacks you, and you get hit for 9 damage. You get hit for 6 bludgeoning and 3 lightning damage. And when it does so, the lightning charge jumps off of you, and you find yourself, Ordella, eliminated. The lightning charge jumps off of you, and it imparts 3 lightning damage to Cadillac, because you're visible. Cadillac, you take 3 lightning damage. And Cadillac, you are also eliminated, and you find yourself back in the stands, as there's sort of a force field around the arena. Remaining in the arena are the 2 invisible characters, and Leonard is the only remaining visible character, and all of the blue men. The ball is no longer electrified and disappears and returns to the center, where it pops up, and the blue guys start rushing to try to grab it. Everybody can make me athletics or dexterity checks to try to grab the ball.
There we go.
Nice.
There we go.
Harkus,
Yay.
your invisible self grabs the ball. You become visible as you grab the ball, as you've taken an action to grab said ball. But you appear out of nowhere, just out of freaking nowhere, and snag the ball. You're surrounded by the blue guys as they're imparting themselves, and they're going to like rip it out of your hands. You all have the option to try to pass it around, and either you can take a shot at one of them by throwing it, or you can try to electrify it to be able to throw it up into the stands to electrify the ball to do more damage and get more of them out.
If I throw it up there, I have to go and get it again, correct?
Correct.
I think I'm just going to throw it at one of them.
Okay, so you're surrounded. You're going to have to pass it around to your teammates. So everybody...
I'm gigantic. I'm gigantic.
You are.
How big are they? I can't wrestle it from a giant.
You know what?
Just pick them up by the head.
You know what?
I'll give
that to you. You're absolutely enormous. Make me a ranged attack roll against one of them as you just sort of zing the ball at them.
How do I just a roll?
Just a ranged weapon attack.
I don't know.
Dex plus proficiency bonus plus D20. Proficiency bonus is like +4 plus whatever your dex is. D20.
Dex plus.
Dex plus.
It's +3. Proficiency bonus is +4.
Yeah, so 7. D20 plus 7.
Okay. Oh, come on. 9.
A 9 doesn't hit, unfortunately. And the ball goes flying in the middle, and everybody on the board can make athletics or dexterity checks to try to go grab it.
Right, I got it again.
You got it again. You managed to grab the ball. You're surrounded by the guys again, and they're going to try to rip the ball away from you.
Throwing it at them again.
Okay, are you going to pass it around to your teammates to try to get an opening, or are you going to... I tell you what, here's what's going to happen. You're going to make attack roll disadvantage if you don't pass it around.
Feel like...
You're still a giant, but you're going to...
Does somebody have like a clear shot? Can I throw it to... Who's still in here?
Leonard and Yatara are still in the game.
All right.
So the three of you...
Let me throw it to Leonard, because...
All 3 of you make athletics checks.
Is Yatara still invisible?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if Yatara wants to try to catch it or not. I'm not sure what's going on. My rolls aren't rolling. It's probably all going to roll a million rolls in just a second. I'm going to say with a 26, you managed to keep it, and you've got a shot to throw the ball either at one of the tines to electrify it, or you're going to have to take a shot at one of them.
Throwing at one of the people.
All right, make me a ranged attack.
So 18?
That hits. You smack one of the 6 guys with the ball, and he takes some bludgeoning damage. He takes 1d6 bludgeoning damage, and he disappears from the arena.
Okay.
Now all my rolls are randomly appearing. So there are There are, I'm going to say there's 4 of them since they started with 5. There's 4 of them left in the arena, and 3 of you left in the arena, or 2 of you left in the arena.
No, there's 3.
1 invisible.
Yeah. Okay.
4 of them and 3 of you left in the arena.
All right.
And the ball pops up in the middle, and everybody goes to try to grab it.
Take that, suckers.
Yeah, you grab it, Mr. Giant Man. You have the ball. Your attacks are going to be disadvantaged here unless you pass it around to all of your teammates.
Can I just throw it up into the thing? Am I disadvantaged if I throw it up into the thing?
You're going to try to throw it into the spires to electrify it?
Yeah.
It's
kind of like Shaquille O'Neal throwing the ball down into the hoop.
Yeah, make a ranged attack roll. I'll let you do it. I think the passing mechanic is kind of dumb.
Okay. 25.
Yes, the ball electrifies itself as you toss it up into the stands, and all of them are going to try to break on it to try to grab it.
Oh, crap.
All right, one of them grabs it, and they start to pass the ball amongst themselves. Everybody make dexterity checks or athletics checks, try to intercept it. How many of you beat 15? They have 1 success.
I got a crit.
You did. What about Leonard and Yatara, if y'all are going to help try to intercept it? It's up to Yatara.
Won't be able to anyway.
Okay, so it is a tie. It is a tiebreaker. I'll give the tie to the crit. So you managed to grab the electrified ball back from them. You intercept it as they're sort of passing it around amongst themselves. You intercept the glowing electrified ball. And what are you doing?
Ranged attack?
Yep, make a ranged attack. Yep, you smack one of them and the lightning hits him, and the other one, it bounces off of him, takes 2 of them out. So there are 2 of them left in the arena and 3 of you left in the arena. Are you still invisible, Gitara?
Yeah, and I have a question real quick about something mechanically.
Yeah.
So to get it up into the stands, to get it to charge, is that an attack?
It is a athletics check.
Okay, so it's just an athletics check to do that, to get it.
Yeah, and then to hit somebody with it, it's a ranged attack. So you can either throw the uncharged ball or you can throw the charged ball, but if you charge the ball, they have the opportunity to grab it. If you throw it without passing it amongst your teammates, I'm imposing disadvantage except to Harkus because he's massive. I'm kind of giving him this because he's turned into like a 9-foot-tall giant, so it mechanically makes sense to me that he doesn't have to pass it so much.
So the athletics check is just to get it into the thing to charge.
Yeah, to throw it up into the spines, the like arena spines that are electrified.
How far away are those spines?
They are 50 feet tall. Or I'm sorry, the masts are 100 feet tall, 40 feet apart. The arena is 120 feet long.
Okay.
100 feet up in the air.
I'm still staying invisible right now then.
Okay. The ball pops up in the center. Everybody can make athletics checks to try to grab it. They only have 2 of them left in the arena.
Oh.
But their best roll's a 21. Somebody beat a 21.
Come on, Kenny.
Kenny, you gotta beat a 21. Nope. They grab the ball and they pass it amongst themselves. They have 1 success. Y'all can try to intercept it by having more than one person beat a DC 15 on a athletics check. 1. Need 1 more to beat a DC 15. Nope. Okay. Let's see here. If the team on offense gets more successes than the team on defense, one player on offense can try to hurl. It doesn't say if they're tied. Resolve the tie with a strength contest. So, Harkus, you're going to try to rip the ball out of this guy's hands. Make a strength check. against him. Beat a 15. Yeah, you rip the ball out of his hands as they're passing it around, and you have the ball again.
Look him dead in the eye when you do it.
All right. I'm just going to throw it right at him.
Make an attack roll.
In his face.
12.
Wolf.
Is a miss. And everybody's going to try to grab it. Make athletics checks to grab it. You grab it, Harkus. Unless somebody beats his 26. Harkus, you grab it.
Or throw it at him again.
Okay, make an athletics check.
17.
Or make an attack roll, yeah.
17.
17 hits. You pop that dude in the face with the ball, and he disappears out of the arena. There's only one of them left, and the ball reappears in the center of the arena and pops up. The one guy that's left goes to try to grab it. He rolls a 23.
17.
Your other two cadres can try. 17, 10.
Kenny?
Beat a 23 on an athletics check, Kenny.
I think.
Okay. He throws the ball up into the spines. He rolls a 15. And that's going to do it. The ball electrifies, and then he's going to try to grab it as it falls back down. He rolls a 23. Y'all can try to intercept the ball. Beat a 23.
I thought there was only one of them.
There is.
Then he rolled a 15 first.
He had the ball. He possessed the ball.
Okay.
Then he threw it up into the spines, electrified it. The ball is electrified and it's falling back down, and he's trying to grab it again. He rolled a 23. You need Kenny to beat a 23 to be able to hang on to it.
You said it's falling back down?
Yeah, the ball is coming back down. What cheater thing are you going to do, you invisible cheater?
Can I cast Mage Hand and grab it?
You're invisible.
I won't be invisible anymore, but I mean, is that ball weigh more than 10 pounds?
Let me see if this game inhibits magic. You'd think that they would think this for like a game for wizards, right? All right, let's see here. You're in a barrier surrounded by electricity. Nothing can pass through the barrier. Immune to all damage. Can't be dispelled by dispel magic. Extends into the ethereal plane. If you try to leave the barrier, take 40 lightning damage. So don't try to leave the arena once the game has started. It says nothing about the arena inhibits magic. Yeah, you can do that. You cast Mage Hand, but you're gonna have to. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you Mage Hand it. You grab it out of the air as it's falling down, and
Nice.
he tries to run over there and grab it, and you're visible again, and he like curses at you as you pull the ball to yourself.
And I'm going to pass it to Harkus.
Okay, make an athletics check as you start to pass it. He's gonna try to intercept it. Kenny and Kenny and everybody else, y'all can also make athletics checks to try to pass it around. Yeah, Harkus, you managed to grab it despite the passing, so you have the ball. It's electrified.
All right. Throwing it at him.
Yeah, make an attack roll.
20.
Pops him in the face, and he just disappears. And the buzzing fades from the arena.
I'm just going to grab the ball and spike it on the ground.
Don't restart the game.
Do a little dance.
The electrical barrier enclosing the stadium vanishes, and the trophy levitates from its pedestal and drifts over to you, Harkus.
Nice.
Sweet.
The
You
trophy,
earned it.
Yes, the trophy is beautiful. Oh man, they had a whole soundscape for playing a game of Chain Lightning. I sort of messed up, but you grab the trophy. Harkus, it is a gorgeous thing. It's made of what looks like mithril embedded with blue spinel gemstones. You would value it at thousands of gold pieces. It is ancient too. This is like finding a gem encrusted vase from the Ming Dynasty or something. That's like in perfect condition, but not only is it got like super valuable stones on it, it's also like a piece of like ancient Chinese pottery or something. It's amazing. It's priceless. It also has sort of an aura of magic off of it.
Okay. All right. Well, I will spend some time with this when I find a moment to see if I can figure out what's going on with this thing.
Yeah. And that's all that you see in the arena. As the blue team disappears, these blue dudes just vanish, and the arena is quiet again.
That was fun.
Professor Scott says to you, "I've been querying my tomes. Yes, I keep tomes in here. Don't question it." And he says, "The wizards of Yithrin were entertained by a competitive sport called chain lightning. They would pit mortals against each other in an electrified arena. Greatly popular. It was in its ancient day. It seems you have triggered a game of chain lightning against a magical pre-generated opponent, so to speak."
What do you know about this cup?
It's pretty.
Anything?
It looks like a cup for the winners of the Chain Lightning Cup.
Thanks, Captain Obvious.
Well,
Seems
if
like
you
it
don't,
might be magicked.
that would be a wise assumption, given that the Netherese, pretty much everything was magic. Perhaps you could have a wizard identify it.
Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
I just might do that.
I would do it myself, but I'm a crystal ball. Thus, I can't cast any more spells.
All right, fair enough. So I'll tell Yatara that I would like for him to help me figure out what this thing is and does.
Yatara, are you doing this show?
Yeah, are you okay? It's going to take 10 minutes.
It's up to y'all. If you're going to stand around here for 10 minutes.
I got plenty of time. I just
All right, I'm going to go ahead and do it.
sort of kick back and relaxing and enjoy victory.
As you do so, you determine that it does have an aura of abjuration magic around it. This not only is a valuable item worth 1,800 gold pieces, it functions as a stone of good luck.
Sweet.
Valian is impressed by this thing, this artifact that you found, and is fascinated by it. We must find more like this. I wish to study it. Perhaps when we leave this place, I would be able to examine this artifact and learn its great secrets. But yeah, that's sort of what you encounter. Let me just do something real quick here. 85. Okay. One thing. Very good. Okay. All right. You guys stand on the opposite side of the arena before that tower that you had previously seen. I'll describe what you see to your left and right and before you. Okay, so to your left, you see a giant portion, sort of a center of the city that is mostly destroyed with buildings collapsed. There is one portion of the spire that looks like maybe an entrance, like a causeway that leads up, 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 and heads across the opening of the city to your left, and then heads into the central spire, sort of like some sort of ridge or something that heads up and into the central spire. You also see over here in this section, there is like a giant building with of what's open with a portcullis that's sitting askew of a 40-foot wide, 30-foot tall archway entering into sort of a large open building, sort of the structure over here. The tower with the blue writing is sort of in front of you. And then over to your sort of immediate right, you see a couple of different things. You see one moment. Turn the page here. You see what looks like a giant like hall that looks like the pipes of like an organ, potentially. Boot-shaped structure with 3 pipes resembling maybe either an organ or like a titanic heart valves or something like that building that's intact. And you also see a giant spire over here that has sort of a like a floating rotating glass chamber that sort of is floating on top of the tower that's rotating around. And then there is a large domed building to your right that it's hexagonal and has a glittering domed roof. And you can see doors to that are sort of slightly ajar. So you've got to your left the causeway that leads to the main spire, a giant building with an open sort of portcullis, the tower with the blue sigils, and then there's the tower with the glass room that's sort of floating above it, the organ-shaped building, or the hexagonal with the cool glittery roof. What way are you guys moving or exploring next?
So the tower that with the emblems on it is literally right in front of us. So I feel
it is literally right in front of you.
Yeah, I kind of vote for that, given that it's in our neighborhood.
Same.
Seems reasonable.
Okay. You approach it. It has almost sort of an intimidating look to it. It's curved like a talon. Stonework is studded in chiseled runes, and a blue light shines from its highest window. There is sort of an open door leading into it, and you can see stairs that ascend the tower upwards.
So is there I see just sort of scattered around boulders. Is there any rubble that is that I can pick up easily? Like a sort of a fist-sized piece of stonework or rock?
Yeah, you can find pieces of like junk and rock and stuff like that.
Okay, so just to be on the safe side, not knowing, like this would be the first proper edifice that we sort of go into, I'm going to pick up a piece of rubble and fling it in through the doorway with as much heft as I can to try to get it as far in as I can, just to see if anything triggers when something goes through the doorway.
Okay, you toss it through there and roll perception for me.
Okay.
As you're intently looking. Okay, you don't see anything happen. Toss it in there and you hear clack, 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 clack as it sort of lands inside of the open doorway. You don't see the runes react in any way or the light change in any sort of way. But yeah, nothing else happens. Are you doing anything else? Are you like searching for traps? Are you like trying to investigate the runes and understand their meaning, or what else are you trying to do?
Sure.
Somebody has already investigated the runes and failed.
Yeah. I will just do a quick investigation of the stonework around the door, hopefully to be able to use stone cunning and what I do know about magic, just as one last shot to make sure that there's nothing obvious.
So what are you trying to glean from this? What are you trying to understand?
If there's anything that looks out of place, that I'm just leery. I'm leery of.
So are you like looking for like
entryway,
some sort of trapping or something like that?
Yeah, just something that just doesn't seem quite right.
Okay,
about the doorway.
make me an Arcana check to see if you understand some of these sigils. 19.
Shockingly good, all things considered.
You recognize one of the sigils is a glyph of warding. You recognize some sort of glyph of warding there, like magical trapping on the passageway in, and it seems to cast some sort of spell when the glyph activates. You identify the glyph as with a 19, you identify the glyph as a glyph of the spell symbol. And the symbol that is there is the symbol for insanity.
Oh, great. Great. Well, maybe this is a ward to keep insane people out. So there are a couple of different ways to interpret this.
Sure.
Maybe there are many breakable objects in here, and so we're here, it's here, and that is what Cadillac is going to assume. And so I am going to gingerly go into, well, it's dark in there, but well, I have dark vision, so that's not a big deal. So I'm going to step inside the tower and take a quick look around in the vestibule or entryway.
Okay.
What's the worst that could happen?
What's the worst? The worst that could happen. Okay. Let me look and see what's the worst that could happen. You found it. You found the glyph of warding. You assumed that it was not meant to harm you, even though you found it.
Right.
And found the insanity rune.
Right.
And you're like, maybe this is just to protect it from insane people.
Right, to ward them away.
Yeah, okay. Make a Constitution saving throw, please.
Okay. Bam.
Okay. Kelek, that's a fail. As you step through the actually, no, it's not a con save. I'm sorry, it is an intelligence save. Please make an intelligence saving throw.
If that failed, oh my goodness. Oh wow. Shockingly, that was better.
That is a pass. That is an intelligence saving throw. That is a pass. You step through and but nothing happens.
So when I make a pass for something like that, am I able to detect that anything happened at all, or am I ignorant of it?
You can detect that a spell was attempted to be cast, and it seemed to try to invade your mind, but you wiped it off.
Okay. So I turn around and I basically say, okay, I made a mistake. There's a spell on this door. I was able to shrug it off, but it was potent.
Roll Arcana.
Okay.
You know that the glyph would activate one time.
Okay.
And it would take a while for it to reset. So, like, you managed to disable it by your mind power.
Okay. Then I guess I just comically sort of spring my head outside the doorway and I say, "All clear, safe."
Something tried to eat my brain, but I fought it off. It's good now.
Nothing's here. It's all clear.
Okay. Yeah, there's steps circling up to the top inside this tower.
Okay. I begin to clomp up.
Okay. Is everybody going, or are people staying outside?
I'll go.
I'm going.
I'll go.
I'll go.
All right, everybody's
Feel
going.
good after my cup victory.
As you head into here, you see there is a room with just a huge anvil chiseled with vivid blue runes, resting in the center of a 30-foot diameter with 30-foot high ceilinged room. Resting on top of the anvil, is a hammer adorned with matching runes. There are 6 armored figures that are standing guard around the anvil. At the rear of the chamber, there's the frozen corpse of a wizard lying in a pile of rubble. There are blue flames flickering from braziers spaced around the room, illuminating a carved inscription on the ceiling.
Interesting. What can I make out about the mage?
Okay.
Anything specific?
You can investigate his body.
Yeah. I think I'm going to do that first.
He is obviously a wizard. He is a powerful wizard. He's wearing what looks like high wizard markings. In fact, you would assume that he was some sort of like person of authority before he was killed. He didn't die like in the fall or natural cause or of the collapse of like the building or anything. The building is still intact. He looks like he's been eaten.
Oh.
Like there are teeth marks on the bones lying around as you investigate him. He doesn't have any items on him other than his robes and his partially gnawed upon skeleton lying there.
So that could mean we're not alone.
In fact, next to him, some of the flooring of the tower is kind of broken, and you can see where like something had broken its way into the tower previously. Something had like busted its way in here next to him and quickly dispatched with him with some sort of horrific eating and mauling. And then there's the anvil surrounded by all of the guards with the hammer on top of it, and an inscription, some inscription upon the ceiling of this room.
Can I tell what language it is?
The inscription?
Yeah.
It's in Draconic.
That's a silly language.
Do you speak Draconic?
I do not. It's mostly silly because I don't know it.
Surely somebody here speaks Draconic. Portella, do you speak Draconic? Really?
I don't think so. Nope. Common, Elvish, and Orc.
I thought somebody did.
It's probably Toot.
Maybe.
Nope, I got
Probably.
deep speech, gnomish, and primordial.
See, that's what I was saying. I'm like, I know somebody's got deep speech.
Guitarra, no Draconic?
Nope.
Okay.
I mean, wow.
It is
You're
written in
pitiful.
Draconic across the ceiling.
But Gnomish is the same thing,
What about
right?
what about the studious gentleman that's with us?
You ask Professor Scott and Bailey and Harpel if he knows Draconic.
Yep.
He says, "Of course I know Draconic. What kind of scholar what kind of scholars are you to not know Draconic?
I'm a blacksmith.
We're clearly not scholars.
You were very wise to pull me out. Now show me what you wish me to interpret in Draconic for you." And you hold him up to the inscription, and he says, it reads, "First, shield thy heart with a wand from the nether oak." Hint, hint. You might want to write this. You might want to write this down, somebody.
Do we have one of those?
This is one of those things where your DM is winking at you and saying, "This might be important. You might want to write this down." First.
Somebody writing this down.
I think Kenny is. Right, Kenny?
First, shield thy heart with a wand from the nether oak. I'm pretty sure Cadillac is making bread right now.
Write this junk down.
Yep.
Shield thy heart, what?
With a wand of the nether from the nether oak. First, shield thy heart with a wand from the nether oak. Professor Scott reads the draconic inscription for you, Cadillac, and Professor Scott says, well, of course I speak draconic. It says, first, shield thy heart with a wand from the nether oak. This is your DM saying. That might be important.
Yeah.
I wrote it down.
Very good. You see that in the room. You see the anvil with the hammer on top of it, surrounded by the guys.
So, when we were walking across into the city, I thought I saw a grove.
Yes.
So, maybe, what was that passage once again?
This, Professor Scott says, this is the Tower of Abjuration. Obviously, one of the schools of magic, as I can certainly tell.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, first shield thy heart with a wand from the nether oak. It's almost like it is part of some sort of ritual.
From the netheril or the nether oak?
Nether oak.
Nether oak.
Netheroak. The nether oak.
Okay.
Which maybe speaks to you as a plant man.
Yeah. So
shrubwad inside of your pack has grown quite large. It says.
No, he's on the war llama, remember?
I'd like to meet one of those nether oaks.
Yeah. So this is interesting. So there's a sequence here, it would seem. So perhaps we go and explore the grove and whatever's on that path first, and then come back here. Lest we come to an ill fate, or just miss the opportunity to outright to learn the secrets here. I vote for retreat.
Leonard will also vote for the tree.
Okay. Are you leaving alone the hammer, the anvil, and everything else in this room?
I think so.
Heading out of here?
Harkus is going to touch it and try to take it.
Now we get to see we actually leave the tower.
Yeah, we
anybody.
make it almost to the door, and then the door is shut. And it's like, challenge has been accepted.
I mean, come on. What is so wrong with anything that you just said?
I mean, it's not wrong.
I mean, the other one worked out just fine.
I wanted to grab it.
Okay, so who had the grabby curse?
Leonard, if he grabs it, he does not let it go.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just sort of keep an eye on folks as we're passing out of the room, just to make sure nobody makes a lunge for it.
Get your ruler outside. No touchy. No
the
touchy.
guys that are surrounding this thing look very similar to the blue guys that were in the arena against you. Mm-hmm. They're not moving or doing anything. They sort of seem to be standing there almost lifeless, with kind of a dead stare in their eyes, but they are armored, and they are each carrying like what looks like a sword or something like that, like a great sword.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
don't you do it?
I mean, since we clearly don't have a wand of Netherese wood, I just feels foolish to do anything right now. So I'm gonna say I need to go find a Netherese tree and whittle myself a little wand. Because as far as I'm concerned, not being magic in any way, I can just whittle one out of a piece of wood and call it a wand.
Call it good enough.
Yeah. Seems like that's all there is to it.
Yeah, wand in Harkus translates to stick.
Yeah, I mean, it's referring to a shape, not sort of an ability.
Yeah, okay. So y'all are leaving alone the area and heading back out. As you head back out of the
as we walk out, I'm gonna go, I'll be back.
As you head back out of the tower,
Don't you dare.
as you head back out of the tower, you can
Challenge
see
accepted.
you can see what looks like some sort of grotto off to your what would be the left when you came in. To sort of reach it, you either need to kind of head around this zone, or you can head kind of through this city zone here, where you saw the building with the open portcullis and the what looks like causeway walking up to the spire. Are you going to go around it to the north and circle around, or are you going to go through the sort of this kind of city rubble area to explore those things?
I'm gigantic. I'm just gonna walk through.
Yeah, I vote for explore.
Okay. As you explore through, you come across first the giant like portcullis to the spire, the thing that sort of like heads upwards toward the spire itself. It's an arching strut of dark stone arising from a ruined district up to a junction high in the central spire. A gate carved with arcane sigils is set into the base of the strut.
As we pass the buildings themselves, along these streets and alleys, what do we make of the buildings? Are these homes? Are they shops?
Various things. There are homes. It's just like a city. There are what look like ruined stores. Right now, the thing that you're at is this thing right kind of here.
I'm curious as we pass through these streets, I'm curious if I see a shop.
Yeah.
To duck in and see if there's anything left over that might be looted.
Yeah, potentially. What kind of shop are you like looking for exactly? There's like clothing. There would be food. You can see things that look like maybe grocery, sort of like general, like daily items. You're looking for the Netherese Walmart.
Magic knickknacks would be cool. I would.
Yeah. Sure. Roll me investigation. Let's see if you find the magic store
in the magic city, in
the
magic neighborhood. What was that again?
Can I?
Investigation.
Is there any way for me to sort of help him since I'm tall enough that I can see over a good bit of this place?
With that roll, no. There's nothing you can do to help. He does not find a magic store.
Can I help by going here? Magic. Here,
what you do see is with your giant tall self is that building with the red glowing portcullis is that you can tell is that is some sort of prison. Because you can see into it, there is a maze of cells lining corridors filling the area that is sort of open.
Okay. I'll point out the prison to everybody.
Yeah, the spire heading upwards with the arcane sigils jutting into it, heading up towards the tower, and the
as I point out the prison, I'm going to nudge Cadillac and go, I think your CPAP's in there.
So yeah, are you leaving the like causeway, the arch strutting outwards with the gate carved with the arcane sigils into the base of the strut, and heading towards the prison that he sees? Or are you checking out the strut with the arcane sigils?
I'll vote for the prison, I think.
Okay. This is very open world. Like, this is a little different than like what you've seen before because there's not like a path for you to follow. I'm just telling you what you see as you go to different areas. Okay. As you head over towards the prison, you can sort of see into it. There is what looks like a maze of cell-lined doors filling the corridor, and they all have what looks like arcane locks and things like that. Are you guys going to search the prison?
Oh, sure, why not?
That sounds like fun.
Okay. How long are you going to spend doing that?
As
10
long
minutes,
as it
20
takes.
minutes, 30 minutes, as long as it
Let's
takes.
say maybe, how big does this look? Maybe an hour? I'd
Yeah.
probably invest an hour.
That sounds
Okay.
good.
All right. So basically, after about 30 minutes searching through it, you find a gap in a collapsed wall that's interesting. And through it, you see a 15-foot square infirmary in disarray with an operating table in the middle of the room. There are leather straps extending from one side of the table into the air above the surface and fastening to the other side. The way that the leather straps extend up into the air and then down suggests that something or someone invisible is lashed to the table.
Oh,
A shrub wad.
Yeah,
Do you still have any of those good berries?
I mean, I am a good berry. So yeah.
Well, I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure in your new state if they might be like mediocre berries or
or good apples or
good apples. Yeah,
Ain't
they might
nothing
be like
ain't nothing better than my berries. He
might be
reaches
good
he
coconut.
reaches
oh my
reaches-
god!
listen.
All right.
He reaches down into his roots and pulls out a couple of
Oh
berries.
no! You don't want those berries.
Wrong berries. Wrong berries.
Oh, wait a minute. You wanted the upper berries. He reaches over and grabs a couple of good
Help me,
berries and
Jesus! Oh no!
extends his
Talking
branches
privileges.
and
Talking
says,
privileges.
"Here you go, my friend.
We
Two
found Hunter
good
Biden.
berry for you."
Okay, so what I would like to do is maybe throw a good berry at the table.
It lands on something, and there's something invisible there in the
But
shape
does
of
it-
like a body.
But what I'm looking for is, does it squish and like outline this thing? That's what I'm trying to do.
You're going
I'm
to
trying
throw
to
a berry
squish-
hard. Are you going to run up
Yes.
there and?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I
Here's
was just saying-
something say
I
I
out.
want
think
you
you
to. I
should
want you
juice
to.
it.
I want you to imagine you have a maraschino cherry in your hand. You're making an old fashioned, and you're going to throw this thing across the room. And your plan is, I want this
Well,
thing to
I mean,
push against it.
I imagined the good berries were bigger than that.
I got a little thing of flour. Let's just throw some flour.
Yeah, let's do
You got
that.
flour? You got flour?
No.
I
figured
had
we'd make
flour at one point in
some
time.
good berry cookies or something.
Traded it for something.
Shrubboy says, I can make you some flour. Hold
No,
Um,
please don't.
well,
Yeah,
I
okay.
mean,
You run up there and you smush the good berry against it, and there is the outline of a humanoid figure
okay.
that is invisible, that is lying there strapped to the table.
Don't king shame.
Is it moving? I assume it's dead.
Roll me a investigation check.
Okay. Who knows?
If it was dead, it should have decomposed by now.
Okay,
The outline of the body is in full tact shape, and it's lying here, and it is not a skeleton. It appears to be in some sort of suspended animation, but you don't know anything further. It's
Have I? Does it look like I've smeared a good berry on something seeming to be a head?
yes, sure. You got lucky and got the head.
Does it appear that there's like something preventing it from talking?
No,
Maybe if I just poked it and said, "Sorry about smearing the good berries on you."
As you poke it, and the invisibility drops, and what you see is a humanoid man that looks sort of middle-aged and maybe sallow-complected, and is lying in what appears to be some sort of suspended animation, as if some sort of magical spell has suspended him in time or something like that.
This probably won't do anything, but I am going to walk up to him and place my hand on him. And again, this probably won't do anything, but I place my hand on him and I say, Sylvanus compels you to awaken, and I lay on hands for 1 point.
Okay. You notice that as you do that, the creature takes a little bit of a breath, but is still sort of like in some sort of spell. You've gathered that this is some sort of magical spell that is making this thing comatose. And unless you have the ability to, surely to goodness, one of you has dispel magic or something thereof.
Okay, everybody. I think that my faith is strong enough with Sylvanus to waken this whatever it is. Do we really want it awakened? I think my faith is strong enough to make this happen, given what I just did.
I have, handy enough, a pair of shackles.
Okay. It is strapped to the table right now.
Standard wizard kit.
You know, your shackles, your wizard shackles that you
Totally.
use for things. Don't ask about them.
Yeah,
my private shackles. I carry them with me.
Private wizard shackles.
And a whip, and this weird thing that goes in your mouth, and
all of it for wizarding.
It's for my wizard.
Why is your back buzzing?
It's for my wizard. It's for my wizarding. Stop. Don't ask anymore.
For my wizard convention coming up.
Okay.
a lot of wands.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Game over. Game over. We've degenerated into this.
One time at wizard camp.
You have the ability to wake him up. How are you going to do that?
I mean, it is prison.
We don't want to know how he wakes him up. We're going to walk out the room.
No, Cadillac.
Okay.
Cadillac said his faith in Sylvanus is strong enough to wake it up, if you want to wake it up.
Okay, so if people want me to do this, I'll do it. I walk up and I put both hands on the body, and then I close my eyes and I start chanting, and then I say, by the power of Sylvanus, I scatter this magic to the winds.
Okay, and as you cast Dispel Magic, the creature suddenly takes a... well, I guess you have to... Alright, you're going to need to make a roll for it, please.
Okay.
Roll me your spellcasting modifier.
Modifier.
Because it's higher spell than...
So my modifier is +1?
No.
Spell attack, save DC 13.
What is your spell attack?
Spell attack is +5.
All right, so roll a d20 +5.
Okay. So that would be a 10. So maybe my faith ain't all that great after all.
He's like, this is not going to work.
This is actually good enough. The creature takes a sudden deep breath in, looks at you, and says, "Oh, thank the lords, thank the gods. I am not dead after all." What you see is a sallow-complected, middle-aged man. One eye is blue and one eye is green, and he has a streak of silver and long jet black hair. He starts to speak to you in Laros, the same language, but when it's clear you don't understand, he starts speaking in Common, and he says, Who are you? Where? What happened? Where am I? What is this place?
So for starters, we'll be thanking one god, Sylvanas, and for secondly, I give him a little bit of a crash course in the city and what we know about it.
Okay. He says, thousands of years. Oh my. All that I knew, loved, dead, and gone. I was manservant to Iorlathus. I was cast here into prison for disobedience. They did horrible things. I was afraid I might be next. Experiments on the prisoners. Things I can't describe. They cast me into suspended animation. I've been there ever since. Ithrin has fallen. All that I know are dead. I will help you as I can, then. Thank you for freeing me from this fate befallen me. I will do what I can for you.
This is a dangerous place we have found, and there are many things we don't understand. I want to trust you, but if you have no objection, I would like to make sure that what you have just shared with us is in fact the truth. I hope that doesn't offend your sensibilities.
What do you mean?
And with that, I cast Zone of Truth.
Okay. He gets a charisma save against it, right?
Yes. Well, let me make sure.
To like know that you've cast a spell, like he knows that you do.
Yeah, he know. Yeah, they know that.
Read to me Zone of Truth. How is it?
Magical zone that guards against deception in a 15-foot radius.
But he gets to save against it, right? To still be able to lie.
Are you aware that he saves against it?
Area or starts its turn there must make a charisma saving throw. On a fail save, the creature can't speak a deliberate lie.
Okay, so he gets to save, and I don't think Cadillac would know necessarily.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm gonna roll a d20.
Okay.
Oh, no! He's straight up lying.
He looks at you and says, I, of course, would have no problem with this. Very slyly.
And I have no way of knowing he failed it, I guess. Okay, well, I'm convinced then, I guess, that this man is right as rain.
Very good.
So, I look around the group and I say, so what do you think of our new friend? Should we take on a new companion?
And he says, I will do what I can to guide you and aid you as best of my ability.
Is he still tethered?
Yes. Unless you've untethered him.
I don't think we have. All right, I have done a lot of the actioning here. I defer to the team as to whether or not to release this mage or this individual from their bonds.
I still remain somewhat skeptical of this person because
They're all strong wizards and stuff, so
he's in a prison tied up.
He's definitely in a prison tied up.
So that doesn't sound kosher. Like, oh, totally innocent, of course. I'm totally not a wizard.
Well, I zoned
I'm just a janitor.
I zoned a truth to him, and he was straight up cool.
Yeah, he didn't melt or anything.
Oh, cool. Then we're good. Totally couldn't block that. I don't know how it works because I'm not a wizard.
So, So even though he passed the zone of, I was thinking about whether or not Cadillac would even then be a little bit suspicious that these are very, very powerful wizards that had magic far in excess of what we are even capable of. And even with the zone of truth, he may be able to wriggle out of it. But I feel like that breaks the bad role of zone of truth. So I shouldn't be allowed to do that.
So there'd be no way you would know that someone had a way to block it? Like in general?
I don't think he knows if he passed or failed, really.
You just assume that every time it works.
You cast the spell, but it doesn't say any way that he would know that you've passed or failed it.
Yeah. So, I'm not going to stand in anybody's way if, even though you think he's telling the truth, it's just far too hinky and suspicious, and we just want to leave him to his own devices. On the other hand, I'm also okay to have a new traveling companion that could give us a little bit of a tour of the neighborhood. Maybe show us where those magic shops are to loot.
He says,
yeah, I know where they are.
Can he hear you, talking? I don't know.
Oh yeah, we're having all this out in the open. Why not?
Then he's like, no, friends, I will aid you. I can tell you what I know about the city information. I have some. I know secrets, things, answers to questions perhaps that you may have. Yeah. Says oh, you must know then. Githrin was under the command of a powerful lich named Iorlathus. He was my master. He I do not know if he lives still these thousands of years later, but it is said that liches never die. And he was obsessed with finding ancient relics from the past, brought the citadel all the way here, searching for ancient giant magic relics. He sent me here to the prison for disobedience, where they locked me away.
So how'd you live so long? Thousands of years.
I was locked by some spell and suspended animation. Thank you for freeing me. There's more. Everyone in Githrin was a wizard. Every mage was taught prestidigitation, and we all were obliged to use it to clean the city. Armies of little trash picking itself up. It was an amazing sight to see. You should have seen it. You would have loved it. Some wizards could even keep themselves alive forever. They would keep their own brains inside of jars.
Professor Scott, what do you make of our new friend?
I don't like him.
He seems weird and smells funny.
Well, Professor Scott, that was quite rude. Just to say right here in front of our new friend. Why do you not like him?
He's weird and smells funny. I think this is as good a place as any to end it for the evening, as you're debating what to do with this creature whose name you haven't even inquired as to what it is. He tells you his name is Xeraphon.
Well, Xeraphon, we will get to know you better soon.
Oh, I do hope that we can be allies, that I can aid you in your quests. What is it you seek here?
Nothing.
The magic store. We're seeking magic stores.
Magic stores, like shops?
And grottos.
And grottos. That's kind of weird, but free me from my bondage, and I will
Show you where all the black markets are.
I will aid you as I can. And with that, we will wrap it up for the evening. Hope you guys had a good time at your first dip into the Netherese city.
Yes.
And we made a friend.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
You made a guy.
Winning friends, meeting friends, and influencing people.
You found a
That's
guy.
the title.
You found
Making
a guy.
a new friend in bondage.
You found a guy that was invisible, strapped to a table in a prison.
In a prison. So obviously he's kosher.
I mean,
Oh, I'm innocent, just like everyone else.
He's like,
here.
please take the biting mask off of my face. I
was
promise
wrongfully
I promise
imprisoned.
I promise I won't eat your liver with fava beans.
Right. Does anyone have a nice chilled Chianti?
Well, I hope he turns out to be at least a little bit interesting, because I burnt some
Oh,
valuable
I'm
spell
sure.
slots on this.
I'm
little
sure
side
he will be
excursion.
very interesting.
All right. We'll see you guys next week as we continue to
Yeah.
explore the ruins of Yithrin in the open sandbox exploration world that is a little bit different than kind of how the game has run up until now. We're back to sandbox. The initial traipse around the Icewind Dale was sandbox, and then it got a little linear, and now we're back to sandbox again. So we'll see you guys next week.
All right. See you.
See ya.
Good night.
Night.